Welcome to the Shearwalls online tutorial videos. In this third video of the series, we will do a thorough explanation of the shear results inside the design results tables. For this tutorial, we will be using the same structure from the two previous videos, but with different manual loads added. The project file available in the description is saved until this point. We will now run the design and go through the results. Let's take a look at the shear results for wind design calculated with a flexible diaphragm. The most important information on this table is in the far right column. You will find the ratio of the shear force that has been distributed to each shear wall, in this case distributed based on wind forces and a flexible diaphragm assumption, and the design capacity. I'll talk about that more shortly. Notice the results are separated into two main groups, the north to south shearlines and the east to west shearlines. The shearlines within a direction are further grouped in order, shearlines 1, 2, 3 in the north-south direction and ABC in the east-west direction, and furthermore with their story level if it's the case. If there are multiple shear walls within a shearline, they will be presented as segment 1, 2, 3 and so on. Beside the name of the wall or shear line is the wall group as listed in the sheathing and framing material tables. We talked about these tables before in video 5.1 entitled Project Information and Structural Data. Coordinating the wall groups shown here with the different walls on the shear lines is important. It allows to determine which wall group works for this particular load condition. Here, you will find information for the force direction, the critical low-rise windward corner and load case, the length of full height sheathing, diaphragm shear force, factored unit sheathing for both interior and exterior connection resistance, hold down effect factor, factored unit panel buckling resistance, factored unit shear resistance of wall segment, and finally, the ratio, as mentioned earlier. Notice there is a legend at the bottom of the table. This will help you remember the meaning of each term we have just mentioned. The force direction is indicated because sometimes the magnitude of the load varies based on direction. This is common when no hold downs are selected with different segment length in a wall. That is where JHD will vary by direction. I'll elaborate a bit more in a moment. If the generated force is the same in both directions, both will be written, and if not, results for the wall for both directions will be indicated separately. The shear force results include the length of each full height sheathed segment along the shear line, and the factored shear line force divided by the length of the shear line, shear wall, and segment per unit length. The capacities section show the factored shear resistance due to the sheathing to framing connection, CSA 086 11.5.1.2a or 11.5.1.3, and the factored panel buckling resistance 11.5.1.2b for both interior and exterior materials. Where hold downs are eliminated and anchorages are used, the hold down effect factor JHD from 11.4.5 will be displayed with a value less than 1.0, which affects the sheathing to framing resistance only. JHD is a kind of a penalty factor for relying on the wood sheathing rather than the hold downs to transfer the shear from floor to floor, as demonstrated in this figure, showing the different load path depending on the type of connection. Finally, the governing factored shear resistance per unit length, the smaller result of the sheathing to framing connection resistance and panel buckling resistance, is shown. Most importantly, the shear results section contains the ratio of the total factored shear force on wall divided by the total shear resistance for all wall segments. If that ratio exceeds 1.0, the designed wall is under capacity and the wall would fail the analysis. A warning message would also appear just under the legend, indicating the capacity was exceeded. Remember that a warning would also appear in the design summary page as well.